The next question we need to answer is whether there's been a concomitant increase in greenhouse gas concentration since the Industrial Revolution. On the face of it, this is a simple question to answer. We can view the observational records of greenhouse gases. We can start with carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is an important trace gas in Earth's atmosphere. It is an integral part of the carbon cycle. That is the biogeochemical cycle in which carbon is exchanged between the Earth's atmosphere, oceans, soil, rocks and biosphere. The carbon cycle is the subject of Primo Levi's final chapter in his wonderful book, The Periodic Table. I strongly encourage you to avail yourselves of the opportunity to read that chapter, if not the entire book. The dataset we introduced in the last lecture was that from Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. A dataset started by Charles Keeling and which now bears his name. The Keeling curve shows atmospheric CO2 concentrations rising from 315 ppmv in 1958 to in excess of the 415 ppmv levels seen today. Impressed upon this steady increase in carbon dioxide concentrations is a seasonal variation. But why do we see this seasonal variation? This animation produced by NASA shows the global biosphere in the background and the corresponding carbon dioxide graph in the foreground. The biosphere is represented as phytoplankton concentrations over the ocean and the vegetation index over land. The carbon dioxide concentrations are from Mauna Loa in Hawaii. As each year progresses, notice how the greening of the land moves south to north, then north to south. Also, notice how this corresponds to the carbon dioxide graph. The carbon dioxide content falls during the northern hemisphere summer when photosynthesis surpasses respiration and decomposition. It then rises during the late autumn to early spring when respiration and decomposition of the previous season's crop of leaves exceeds photosynthesis. These are the seasonal oscillations in the carbon dioxide graph. This animation reveals the intimate connection between the biosphere and the atmosphere, that is the short-term terrestrial carbon cycle. Perhaps more poetically, this shows the Earth breathing in and out once per year. Did this upward trend, though, begin with the Industrial Revolution? We can go further back in time by using ice core records. Carbon dioxide concentrations, and indeed the concentrations of other gases, can be determined from the composition of air in bubbles trapped in the ice. This figure shows carbon dioxide concentrations during the last 800,000 years. We can clearly see variations in carbon dioxide throughout the Pleistocene, from lows of about 180 ppmv during deep glaciations to 280 ppmv during interglacial periods. Pre-industrial concentrations are confirmed to be 280 ppmv. The current concentrations of carbon dioxides have not been seen in at least the last 2 million years. The rate of increase of carbon dioxide since the Industrial Revolution is also profoundly unprecedented. Similar records of other greenhouse gases tell the same story. Methane concentrations have increased from pre-industrial values of about 600 parts per billion to levels over 1800 parts per billion, a threefold increase. Nitrous oxide concentrations have increased from some 270 parts per billion to 338 parts per billion today. It is clear that the increase in temperatures since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution has been accompanied by increases in the concentrations of greenhouse gases. The current concentrations of greenhouse gases have not been witnessed in at least the last several 100,000 years. The rapidity of these increases has also never been seen in our record of greenhouse gas concentrations. Thanks for listening.